friends, it's Laura. I'm Mostly Crafty here on YouTube and Instagram. Today is Sunday, June 28th. It is Flosstube 14. It's been 2 weeks since I filmed my last Flosstube. Say that 5 times fast. However, it's only been about a week since I've posted. It took me a while to edit that last video. So I've got 2 weeks of work to show you. I also kind of altered just how I'm filming. I just scooched this way. I noticed in my last Flosstube, the light looks kind of weird. I have a selfie light that I use in the winter, but in the summer, it's pretty bright. So I'm hoping that the light looks better and also doesn't make me look so yellow. I don't know. Well, this is kind of a yellowish green, but I'm not going to repaint it. So we'll just go with it. Let me know down below what you think. To start with, I have one FFO, or one like mostly finished object. And it is Strawberry Dreams by Carriage House Samplings. This is the project that I started at the beginning of June for the Strawberry Moon Sal. If you're not familiar with the Strawberry Moon Sal, it is a stitch along or start along, SAL, hosted by Marjorie Maid. And the idea is you stitch on something with strawberries for the month of June, because the full moon in June is known as the Strawberry Moon. So it's the Strawberry Moon Sal. So I started this at the beginning of the month, I cannot talk today, with Jandy from Jandy Sews, or Jandy Dean on YouTube. I'll tag her down below, of course. This is a total of 3,988 stitches, and I completed 2,539. I finished it in this frame, and I say mostly like somewhat fully finished because it is just kind of shoved in the frame. It's not fully tacked on the back, laced on the back, because I'm not exactly sure this is how I want to finish it long term. So the pattern has a red and white scalloped border, and that border is almost 1,400 stitches, over 1,400 stitches. And I am not sure that I wanted to put an additional 1,400 stitches in with all of the other projects that I have. And it's just a pretty plain border, and it looked really boring. So I reserve the right to add it in the future because I think it'd be really cute. But what I think I want to do for some of these smaller seasonals is finish them on some cardstock or foam core, and then put them on a larger kind of plain frame with maybe like a linen background with a magnet, so that I can switch them out monthly, like this, or my Happy Haunted Home that I just finished from Flossy Box Shop, things like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I think Jandy is sewing the whole border, stitching the whole border, because she started the border at the same time she was stitching everything else. And I am a smarty and was like, I'm going to wait and make sure that I get this so that no matter what, I can get my border to line up. And then I was like, I'm not stitching that. This is stitched on 32 count Stay Classy by Bestitch Me. It's a fabric of the month from maybe May or June, I think. It's just beautiful. It's pulling pretty brown, but in person, it's a much more terracotta pink fabric. In terms of the floss colors, I stayed with the vibes of the original, but I went a little rogue with the red. The red is called for in 733, and I went with Weeks Garnet that I thrifted up in Victoria, Canada. I kept the other terracotta normal, that's 356. Yeah. The black, I did 310. I did ecru. I kept that. I ended up doing ecru around the flowers, and then the yellow I switched out to 3822 because the other color just wasn't showing up against this fabric well enough, and so I just decided to switch that out. And then the greens, I did 470 for the darker and 472 for the lighter, because I didn't have at the time 733 and 732. And I love how it turned out. Still is the same kind of color palette as the original, but I just switched them out. And then you'll notice I changed the bird. The original bird is a red-winged blackbird, and I changed it to a mockingbird, mostly because as I was stitching on this in Eastern Washington, Central Washington, at the beginning of June, I saw a mockingbird. They are not in Western Washington where I live, in Seattle, but apparently we do have them in Central and Eastern Washington. And I saw one on a fence, I'm pretty sure, and I was like, oh, I want to stitch that. Also, because my girl Martha Sitwell on Ladies of London has a mockingbird Hecate who sadly just passed away. And so I was watching a lot of Ladies of London at the beginning of the month as I was starting this and thought, well, a red-winged blackbird means nothing to me, but a mockingbird Hecate means a lot. And so I'm very sad that Hecate passed because it sounds very tragic. So I finished this in mid-June, and I'm excited to either keep it in the frame for a little while longer or figure something else out. So that was my first and only finish this month. I also did a new start, although it's really a restart. Once again, I don't have any paper. Well, this will do. It's fine. Okay. Wow, what a start. Look at that. That's amazing. I restarted Shaded Stitchery's Closely Kept number 5. Let me make sure. Pretty sure it's, hold on. My markup's going crazy right now. Yeah, Closely Kept number 5. I restarted it. I originally started it on this fabric, which is a 32 count watermelon by Weeks, I think, that I bought down at Acorns and Threads earlier this year. Hold on, let me get this paper. Sorry for the rattling. I was so prepared and yet so not prepared. There we go. Originally started it with a red and purple variegated floss, and it was just like too close and you couldn't see it. So I restarted this with, this is Sunset by Classic Colorworks. You can kind of see it there. I was going for that tone on tone look. So I restarted this a few weeks ago. I've only had a couple of days stitching and I'm at 186 out of 1502. So I'm at 12.38%. I might take this to Italy with me because there's not that many stitches. One color, super easy to pack. I think that'd be good. So that was my one new start. In terms of other projects that I worked on, of course, I worked on local conditions, my color, temperature stitch along. And this is by Satsuma Street. And I'm like 1000% over this pattern. So this is a temperature stitch where you stitch on it and the color floss represents the day of the, or blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to cut that out, but this is a temperature stitch and each color represents the temperature of the day. And so as you can see, I started back in January and it was very, very mild. So everything's like green and yellow. We transitioned and then we've got some hotter days down here where it was close to 90. However, I'm like 100% over stitching this. I am only to the first week of June. So I've got this much to catch up on. I just am not, I like the idea of it, but in practice, I wish I could stitch on it every morning. And I said that the last time and then time before that. And I just don't have the time in the morning before working to stitch the 15, 20, 30 stitches. So I'm slogging it out. I've got my cute little Orca needle minder, and this is in a vintage hoop that I got, I think from my neighbor in her garage sale a couple weeks ago. So there's 6,000 total stitches, and I'm at almost 3,400. So I'm at 43%. So you can tell we're almost 50% through the year, so I've got 7% to catch up on. This is stitched on a, let's just call it 18. I can never remember. 18 count Aida that I dyed myself, this pinky orange color. Next up, and these are in somewhat particular order, but not really. I have been working on a focus project since the solstice, which longest day of the year. So that means that here in Seattle, their days are getting shorter, which is sad because the days get so short in December and January. But that also means that it's still bright out at like 9:30 p.m. It's wild. So I wanted to stitch on summer themed projects for the summer solstice. So I got Blueberry J back out. Got my Alaska Airlines needle minder that my friend Amber made me. And I also stitched on this yesterday for Catherine's Stitching Chronicles, her Dolwyn Bell B-Day sal. And everyone was starting Dolwyn Bell by JEDxStitch, but that's not in my plans right now. So I stitched on another JEDxStitch project. I cannot talk today. So Blueberry J is by, like I said, JEDxStitch. I'm at just under 6,500 stitches out of 11,659, so I'm 56% of the way through. I have been stitching, I finished all of this plaid, this bow up to the top, and then been working kind of up in this corner the past couple of days. I'm still missing one color down here, 3012. I'll remember to buy it at some point in the future. My goal on this, I would love to finish it by the end of summer, especially because JEDxStitch has another summer pattern coming out at Midsummer Stitch in 3 weeks that I will obviously buy, so I'm at just over halfway. I got like 40% of the way done at the beginning of winter. So if you're new here, I started stitching this in December, right before winter started, for my hashtag sunny day sal or Sunday sal. So it's really cloudy and gross here, but it doesn't snow, so I couldn't do a snow day stitch. So I decided to stitch on something every day it was sunny. Well, great news. It was incredibly sunny, as indicated by my temperature chart, where it was never blue and cold. It was always mild. So I stitched this all through winter and kind of put a pause in it in about March when spring started. And I didn't really stitch on it very much in spring. I got like 35 or 40% done in winter. So if I can get close to a finish by the end of summer, which end of September, I think I could do that and then just kind of wrap it up. So that is my goal on this one. My other summer stitch is Summer Quaker by Lila Studio. This is a like 29 count linen that I thrifted, 28-ish, 29 count. This, I'm at 2,884 stitches out of 28,000. So I'm just over 10%. And I got a lot done in the past week. So I started stitching this on the solstice as well. So I'm going to alternate between Blueberry J and Summer Quaker as my summer focus projects. And I got, since the last time you saw this, I got this blue done, most of this green, all of the live in the, and then this cloud. So it's looking really good. I wanted to stitch this because I just love, especially the pieces that are coming up, the little crabs that are going to come up next. Like right down here, I think, and right over here, there's some crabs, and those look really fun to stitch. So of course I needed to stitch all 28,000 stitches to stitch one little crab. That's logic. It makes perfect sense. Do not question my logic. So I really like stitching on this. I think, you know, it's like a 28-30 count, so it's easy to see, it's easy to stitch. So I've been able to stitch outside, like, you know, kind of in the late afternoon. It's still pretty light out. I am salty about one thing, in that, okay, see how all of these are like, these little swoops are like one, shoop, shoop. I'm going to show you, I'm going to zoom in on the pattern real quick. I was stitching during Love Island last weekend, trying to get caught up. And I was like, okay, look, this one, this little swoop has 1, this little swoop has 2. Okay, that must be the middle one or whatever. And then the next one, little swoop has 2. And I'm like, cool, maybe those are like the middle. And then it will finish it out. No, they are all in the picture. They are all like one stitch. The pattern is wrong. Why is the pattern wrong? It's a PDF. You could fix it. You don't need errata. So I'm salty about that because I was stitching during Love Island, and honestly, I got like 27 stitches because I stitched a bunch of green, and I realized that I had stitched some of these, you know, little bars, which are 11 stitches. I had stitched one with 10, one with 12, so I had to rip those all out. And then I restitched them, and then I realized like another one was wrong, and then I realized I had done the little swoops wrong, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I am tired of listening to these 21-year-old idiots make poor decisions because it was like Casa Amor, the boys' night, and they were making terrible decisions. I was just like so over it. So I got, like 27 stitches, and then I fixed it all yesterday. And then it did this whole cloud while sitting outside. Don't mind the paper falling. So I'm really loving stitching on this. Got a lot more to do, but I am 1 page complete. So that's exciting. It's very exciting. Also, in no particular order, is a sampler for Grace. This is by Shaded Stitchery. This project is on my iPad. I am at 1,400 stitches out of 16,188, so I'm at 8.7%. I started the 1/1, which is very exciting. Look, I did all that 1/1 lettering, probably while watching some Love Island and listening to a book on my iPad. I find this slightly fussy. Never done 1/1 stitches before, so it's taking me a long time to kind of get used to it, although it looks really good. I think all of it looks really good. There's nothing that looks super sketchy. The tricky part was if I was stitching this green or any of this pink or red and then switch to the lettering, I kind of need to just stick with one of the, like either 2/1 or 1/1 and not switch back and forth, because that just is a fool's errand. So like I said, I stitched on this while listening to an audiobook. I finished Neptune's Fortune, which is a shipwreck book, and started listening to Easy Money by Ben McKenzie from the OC. It's a book about crypto and how it's totally a scam. So I listened to that while stitching on this, finished it, and now I'm back on The Lost City of Z by David Grann, which I read, I don't know, probably a decade ago when it came out, and just kind of re-listening to the audiobook because it was available. So this is a Zweigart linen 36 count. It is vintage Whisper. It's whatever the base pre-printed lightest colors Zweigart is, and then I dunked it in taupe for 3 minutes to kind of get a darker color, because the Affogato was reading really, really like green-ish, dark and green to me, and I did not like it. So I'm stitching it with the called for color and cotton, Classic Colorworks. I am stitching it with the called for Classic Colorworks colors. And by the way, if you are stitching this, not all of the colors have that many stitches in them. So in the comments on my YouTube channel or in the notes in my YouTube description, I put which colors have the least amount of stitches, so that if you wanted to just swap it out for something in your stash or a DMC, it would have less than 100 stitches, which would not be that noticeable. And you could save, a little bit of money. So that's a good tip. So a couple of these colors I've started to think about using in other projects, because I know that there won't be that many colors used. My next project is I Like Cross Stitch by JEDxStitch. This is part of the hashtag Not a Fascist birthday sale by a Kansas City girl in a Colorado world that she started in, I think, February for her birthday. I have been slowly stitching on it, but I added a bunch down here in this orange, really just about 150 stitches, but quite a bit, making some good progress on this. This is 19,000 stitches, and I've got 1,347 done, so I'm at 7%. And this is more of that pink Ada that I dyed, that I'm doing local conditions on. So I think it's an 18 count. Oh, I got some threads. So I'm liking how it's turning out. Just kind of a long slog because I don't work on it very often. All right, and I believe this is the last project that I worked on, which is Book Goddess by Tiny Modernist. Tiny Modernist. This is a a pattern from this year's Nashville Needlework Market. I wanted to start it because obviously I love books and she had colorful hair and it was really cute. So I've been working on this a little bit more since I found my fancy flosses immediately after filming that Flosstube where I had entirely lost them. So I've still only done about 150 stitches this month, but I have been doing a lot of her hair. So I got her hair done to where her sleeves go. I have to decide what other color I want in her dress because this is striped. And I made some changes in this. Of course I did. Namely, her hair is pink, not purple. I made the dress a dark blue because I didn't like the green. And then instead of just 3371, I'm using Blackbird from the Classic Colorworks, a sampler for Grace Sal. I am going to have extra of that because I bought 2 skeins. So I'm using that for this belt and the house. I restitched it, and then her eyebrows or eyelashes. And I'm going to give her blue eyes. I just didn't have time the other day. So I'm making some okay progress on this. Where am I on this? I think I said I'm at 16.79%. So I have almost 2,600 done out of 15,430 stitches. So you can see the shadow of my phone. So yeah, I really like how it's looking. I just kind of need to pick up whatever color I want here so that I can stitch out her sleeves. And then once I get that done, I'll be able to do some of the motifs on the sides. So I don't want to have to measure and count too much because, you know, your girl can barely count. So that's mostly what I've been working on over the past few weeks, 2 weeks. In terms of plans, I am going to film my whip parade probably right after this if I have time. I did quite a bit of ironing, although not everything because who wants to do that? I leave on my vacation on Friday evening, and I'm going to take 2 or 3 projects with me. So I'm going to take Coneflower Chorus by the Blue Flower. That one I started in April after it came out in Nashville Needlework Market. And quickly realized that since it only has like 7 colors and is pretty solid stitching, although it's fancy floss, so you kind of stitch in a pattern or like in a swirl in the leaves and whatnot, that it'd be really easy to take with me because it's already kitted up. I don't have to add anything to it. Can kind of stitch in any of my hoops that I bring. So I think I'll bring that. It is around 6,000 stitches and I have a couple hundred in it right now. So that'll be really good to work on. It's also a light color fabric, so it's easy to work on even if it's a little darker in the hotel rooms or, you know, airplane or whatever. I was planning on bringing local conditions, but it's kind of clunky. I mean, it's not super clunky. I have it in a little project bag, and I have all the flosses kind of dropped onto a piece of cardstock. So I have them all, but I tend to run out of colors, and it's hard to predict what the colors will be and how much to bring with me. I don't love stitching on it. The only good thing is that it is really easy to stitch, you know, like 10 stitches a day if I get really busy. I could always get, you know, that color done for the day. So I'm on the fence. Yeah, I'm on the fence. I might bring Closely Kept by Shaded Stitchery because it's only 1,500 stitches and 1 color of fancy floss. So, and it's small, so easy to bring with me. I was also thinking about bringing a beaded kit that I have from Satsuma Street, one of the Halloween ornaments, and bringing that to kind of work on as well. Although, I don't know, I haven't started it. I'm not a huge fan of stitching on perforated paper. Kind of hurts my hands because I don't have one of those like Mill Hill frames. So we'll see if I bring that along. The other thing that I am thinking about starting and also bringing along is this little Liberty sampler. A little Almost Danced with Liberty by Siren Stitchworks. I saw this being stitched on Recovering Monogamous Stitchers YouTube Flosstube 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, and I thought it was really, really cute, so I bought it. I'll show it. I'll put a picture up so you don't get the glare from my iPad. This is 4,300 stitches, and it is called for in DMC, and I have all the DMC. In terms of other plans, I mentioned in my last Flosstube that I wanted to attend Midsummer Stitch, but it is while I am leaving Italy. So I'm traveling to Rome and then flying home from Rome. It will be happening while I'm on the plane. I did buy a ticket, and I bought Jandy's class ticket because it's only $10. Jandy is hosting a class on how to do a cool little notebook cover using this folio kit that you can buy on Lindy Stitches. So I'm not doing the pre-stitching. I'm not buying the folio itself. I'm just going to watch the recording afterwards and pick up some tips, and then, maybe make it happen in the future, or just, learn something new and support Jandy. So I'm excited about that. But I probably won't be able to join very many stitching rooms since we'll be kind of in transit, etc. I might be able to join from the airport or once I get home, but we'll see. So don't look for me too hard. If I do join, maybe I'll post on Instagram so that you guys can come find me. And then besides that, I'm going to be filming my whip parade very soon. Although I will probably schedule a post for when I'm in Italy so that you can watch this and then watch that and go from there. In terms of what I'm reading, watching, loving lately, like I mentioned, I finished Easy Money, A Story of Crypto. If you're interested in that, Ben McKenzie name checks this other book in it that is terrific. It's called Money, The True Story of a Made Up Thing. One of my favorite things to say is money is not real, because it is not real. It is a construct. And so I thought it was funny he name checked that book. But that's another great book. Easy to read, super short. Been watching a lot of Love Island. I think we are all Brunity fans. Bryce and Trinity. Everyone else can GTFO. I also have been watching Best Medicine on Disney Plus, which is a remake of the classic British show Doc Martin with Josh Charles. It is fine. It feels like a Hallmark TV show or something on CBS that your grandparents would watch. But easy to watch on stitching, 10 out of 10. And then the last, I've been listening to a podcast called How I AI by Claire Vaux. I know generative AI is very divisive, but your girl works for a tech company. And so it's something that I need to understand and learn about, and find what the practical uses are and what the impractical uses are. So I think it's really interesting to see how people have used it, especially for vibe coding, which your girl also hates coding. I had to take a Java class and was like, throw me out a window. I do not want to learn this. So that's been interesting. I also have a master's in informatics, if you guys didn't know that. So I'm always interested in technology and like who gets left behind with technology, who wins, who loses. So that's why I like the crypto stories, because immediately I was like, this is a scam. Everybody loses except for like the 7, what did I say this morning? The 7 raccoons in a trench coat that run all of the crypto and Bitcoin, NFT, all of the exchanges. There's like 7 people that actually run it all. So with AI, it's like, okay, who wins, who loses? So I'm always, evaluating and trying to see like how the technology actually works, and like as a technologist. So that's my day job. I won't bore you guys unless you really want to be bored, and then I can talk about things for hours. So just let me know down below, how bored do you want to be in the next Mostly Crafty TED Talk? We've done we've done geography. We've done, I think, geography twice as TED Talks on the Mostly Crafty channel. I'm thinking about the graphics I made in Camtasia for them, and I think mostly geography. Meteorology, some of that too. So, okay. Anyway, If you're interested in any more Mostly Crafty TED Talks, let me know. You'll get them. Besides that, I'm going to go. I'm going to film my whip parade and do some more stitching. And see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.